Hello everyone, my name is Kaseem. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, you are welcome. If you're not new to the channel, you're welcome back. I appreciate you for coming back to check out the video and to see what I have to say in today's video. So what we're going to do in today's video is we are going to go over Tesla's earnings call. This is a 1 hour earnings call, which I've broken up into multiple sections. So bear with me with the video that the ones that you're watching. Check the playlist. Everything will be in the order in which I record the video and the order in which the earnings call comes in. So we are going to listen to the earnings call. I personally like to listen to earnings calls, especially Tesla's earnings call. Okay, this is the primary way that I try to get the information about the company. Apart from the Tesla community, you know, Tesla Daily, a lot of all these Tesla channels that they're doing such great jobs. But the other way that I try to get, you know, legit Tesla information is by looking at the earnings call. Okay, before we get into the video, I just want to clarify things. This video is just my reaction and it's my own opinion. It's my interpretation of the information that I'm getting from the call. I'm not getting any information from anybody. This is just my opinion of the information that I'm getting from the call, which informs my thesis on how I invest in the company, if I still keep on investing in the company moving forward. So this is just my own opinion. So just take it as that. What we have here is the earnings call. I got it directly from the website. I'm gonna leave all the link in the description. If you guys want to listen to the full earnings call, I'll put it in the description for you to listen to. So I personally like to do this just because this is a great way to learn from the company, to see what the company is up to. So that way you're not listening to other people's opinion on the company. You're listening to, you're getting information directly from the source. Okay. This is why I listen to earnings call. This is why you have earnings calls. So management can talk to investors, let investors know what's going on with the company. Okay. So I'm going to go through this with you guys. Hopefully you like it. If you like this video, if you like what I do here, consider subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you for that. So let's get into it. So we are going to get into the earnings call here. We are going to listen to the call and I will pause and add some commentary where I believe I need to add some commentary. Okay, this is how I like to operate here on this channel. I always listen to Tesla's earnings call. You know, I feel like it's very important.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's go to the last investor question. Does Tesla plan to offer more services beyond FSD or high-speed connectivity as part of its subscription bundle going forward? What areas in particular present an opportunity?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of ideas on this, to be frank. Really, full self-driving is the main thing. You know, things are obviously headed towards, you know, fully autonomous electric vehicle future. Mm-hmm. And I think Tesla is well positioned and frankly is the leader objectively in both of those arenas, electrification and autonomy. It's always tempting to try to find analogies, but you know, with other companies or whatever. But really, the value of a fully electric autonomous fleet is insanely gigantic. Boggles the mind, really. So,
of course,
that will be.
How much money is Lyft and Uber making right now? You know, how much money is the trucking industry making right now? You know, how much money is the freight industry making right now? You know, so the potential markets for autonomy, you know, it's amazing. Can you imagine if Tesla comes out with a robot they can build a humanoid robot that can like deliver food, wash your clothes, assist you in the house. Like the potential for just this company is quite nice.
One of the most valuable things that is ever done in the history of civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. And now let's go back to analyst Q&A, please.
Thank you. As a reminder, to ask a question, you will need to press star 1 on your telephone. To withdraw your question, press the pound key. In the interest of time, we ask that you please limit yourself to 1 question and 1 follow-up.
So these are
Our
questions. These are questions from analysts. So Wall Street analysts.
Comes from Colin Rush with Oppenheimer. Your line is open.
Thanks so much, guys. Can you speak to the attach rates for FSD so far and where you're targeting in terms of those subscription levels?
Yeah, it's not worth commenting on right now. It's not meaningful. We really need Full Self-Driving, at least the beta, to be widely available, so anyone who wants it can get it. Otherwise, it would be pointless to read anything into where things are right now. Yeah.
I guess that would mean how much profit Tesla is making from the full self-driving subscription. And I'll look into that and put it right on top of this video.
And then just the follow-up there is about the cadence of the regulatory environment, keeping up with the technology. Are you seeing meaningful evolution in terms of the regulators really understanding the technology and beginning to set some standards here sometime in the near term?
At least in the U.S., we don't see regulation as a fundamental limiter. We've obviously got to make it work and then demonstrate that
it works.
The reliability is significantly in excess of the average human driver, for it to be allowed, for people to be able to use it without paying attention to the road.
Cool.
But I think we have a massive fleet, so it will be, I think, straightforward to make the argument on statistical grounds, just based on the number of interventions, or especially interventions that would result in a crash at scale. It will have billions of miles of travel to be able to show that it is, the safety of the car with the autopilot on is
much better,
100% or 200% or more safer than the average human driver.
So the analyst asked about how long would it take for the government to approve self-driving, and Elon just explained what he just explained, and I think once Tesla has enough data about how the car works with self-driving, the safety, they have a bunch of data. They can actually show the government this data. I think over time they will make it work, because governments are always trying to be the leader. They want to encourage companies to build things. They want to be the leader in all this technology. So I think maybe the US most likely would approve it first, just because the US have a track record of letting their companies do their thing, and once the numbers and the data shows that it's safe, they will let the public use it. So I think over time, once everything is safe, Tesla will be Tesla will be good to go with this self-driving approval.
I think it would be unconscionable not to allow the autopilot, because the car just becomes way less safe. It would be sort of like, take the elevator analogy. Back in the day, you used to have elevator operators with like a big sort of switch that they operate the elevator and move between floors. But that get tired or maybe drunk or something, or distracted, and every now and again somebody would be kind of shared in half between floors. That's kind of the situation we have with cars. Autonomy will become so safe that it will be unsafe manually operate the car, relatively speaking.
And can you imagine, if you think about it, if you are in your mid-20s to your mid-30s and you have a child around that age, most likely by the time your kids turn like maybe 16, 17, the time for them to get their driver's license, most likely they probably won't get their driver's license just because self-driving will be a real thing, you know? Think about someone that is like 100 years old or like 105 years old right now. You know, they've seen a lot, you know. They've seen the country change from horse and buggy all the way down to electric vehicles right now. If you think about it, someone that is, like I said, that age group between 25 to 35, think about what you've seen over your lifetime already. You've probably seen the internet develop. Because I remember when AOL was a thing, when dial-up was a thing. You've seen the internet develop. You've seen, Netflix. You've seen, you've seen Uber. You've seen so many things change, even though you might not notice it right away because changes happen so slowly, and then you get used to it, and then you just think back, you're like, damn, you know. Can you imagine? I remember when I was young, we used to use cassettes. We used to use CDs. It was a thing. We used to download MP3s into the little MP3 player back then. You know, so technology happens so slowly, but by the time you know it, it has already consumed all your life and the way you live. It's just crazy. I mean, stuff like Alexa, for example, like, or Google Assist or any of these things, like, they basically used to be in the movies, and now it's reality. So that's the same thing we call self-driving. It used to be in the movies, but most likely it's going to be reality very, very soon.
And, today, obviously we just get in an elevator, we press the button for which floor we want, and it just takes us there safely. And it would be quite alarming if elevators were operated by a person with a giant switch. That's how it would be with cars.
Thank you. Let's go to the next question, please.
Next question comes from Ladoichi with Wolf Research. Your line is open.
Hi, everybody. Your cost of goods sold per vehicle is already down to the mid $37,000 range in the quarter. It's down $5,000 year over year, despite some of the inefficiencies that you talked about. Cool. And I know that a lot is going to change from here, just given.
Cool. You guys get that? I hope you guys get that. Despite everything, all the challenges, the cost of their product went down on average. And that's the whole point of what Tesla is trying to do. Tesla is trying to make sure that everybody that wants an EV car, Powerwall, Mega Pack, they can get it, and they can get it quickly. So they're not at that stage where they can do that just yet.
How mix is going to evolve. But if you're successful on the structural pack and front and rear castings.
My guy, Mr. Wall Street analyst, not if, when. That is the right question. That's the right word. When you are successful, not if.
Launch of the 4680 cell. Can you just maybe give us a sense of what a successful outcome would look like maybe a year from now? Obviously, a lot has to go right, but just any kind of broad framework for us to think about.
Yeah, it's really difficult for us to make specific predictions. Is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I think we feel confident of say at least a 50% growth year over year next year, and maybe it's 100%, but that's you need a lot of crystal balls to figure out exactly what it's going to be, and it is literally impossible.
Sometimes some of these questions from the the Wall Street analyst is just so ridiculous, because how do you know what's supposed to happen in the future? You can plan that, oh, I'm going to do this, and then 6 months down the line, things don't work out according to your plan. Then you have to deviate and you have to find things. You have to find things to do. Like they said earlier on in this call, they said that they were having chip shortages and they had to improvise and rewrite their software and everything. You know, like some of those guys, they just ask stupid questions. They get this platform where they can ask this company information that would benefit everybody, but they have their own agendas in terms of the kind of questions they ask. It's just so annoying, really.
To make a specific prediction. But you know, at least 50, maybe 100, something like that.
Okay. And maybe just separately from this, can you just clarify what the status is of some of the advances in battery manufacturing, things like dry cathode mixing that you talked about on Battery Day? What's the timeline? How are those evolving?
Short term mind thinking, but it's a valid question. How is what you talked about? How is it going?
Yeah, we commented on it today already, actually. But you know, in the facility at Cato, over 90% of the processes have demonstrated rate there, but we are limited by the unlucky few that have not, and that's what we're working on. One of them that Elon mentioned was running the full-scale cathode calendar. We're working through some improvements that we need to make to that equipment and to the actual raw material itself to not have those limitations. But again, it's an engineering problem. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. On the mixing side, we haven't actually really had any challenges specific to your question. And fundamentally, we're still happy with the dry process direction in terms of the factory footprint, complexity, utility consumption, space, and overall complexity simplification.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the cost associated with everything that I just mentioned.
Yeah. And we don't have overemphasize dry cathode. I mean, it is a, you know, I don't know, maybe it's like 10 or 15% of the cost improvement or something like that. I don't know, 20% maybe over wet.
Oh, yeah, 10, closer to 10.
Yeah. So it's like just like people don't think like this is like the Messiah or something. You know, wet versus dry reduces. Dry is like 10% less cost than wet. So it's not, you know, not 10%. You know, still nothing to sneeze at. Especially if you're making, you know, hundreds of gigawatt hours a year. Messiah, basically.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We can go to the next question, please.
Next question comes from Pierre Ferragu with New Street Research. Your line is open.
Hey, thanks. Thanks very much for taking my question. I have another question actually on batteries, but on a slightly different angle. I was wondering how you're looking at your sourcing strategy for the 4680. You've talked a lot about all the work you're doing to develop your in-house production. But what about asking other battery manufacturers to do 4680 cells with their own technology, maybe less innovation than what you guys are lining up internally? And I was wondering if the first 4680 cells that we'll see on the road will definitely come from Tesla's own manufacturing lines, or whether they could be coming actually from outside suppliers as well. Now, have a quick follow-up.
Yeah, we are in fact working with our existing suppliers to produce 4680 format cells.
Okay.
And you know, this is just a guess right now, but you know, I see us sort of like consolidating around a 4680 nickel-based structural pack and for long-range vehicles, and then not necessarily a 4680 format, but some other format for iron-based cells, And so we right now, we kind of have the Baskin-Robbins of batteries situation, where we have so many formats and so many chemistries that it's like we've got like 36 flavors of battery at this point, you know. This results in an engineering drag coefficient where each variant of cell chemistry and format requires a certain amount of engineering to maintain it and troubleshoot, and this inhibits our forward progress. So it is going to be important to consolidate to just maybe ideally 2 form factors, maybe 3, but ideally 2,
Makes sense. Makes sense. The less of, like, if they have like 4 different battery formulas, it's just too much stuff to deal with. So reducing that to 1 or 2 might actually be a good thing. So it makes sense.
You know, one nickel chemistry and 1 iron chemistry, and so we don't have to troubleshoot so many different variants.
Sure. Yeah, and towards that end, we are engaging with the suppliers that we've had good partnerships with on 4680 designs to enable that simplification, and you know, so far so good. You know, they're working on, they're bringing their core competencies to bear on that. We're not mandating like what's going on inside, but it's been a good collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You know, and we do expect to see, you know, significant increases in supply from our existing suppliers, in addition to the cells that Tesla is making. So it's both. You know, sometimes I get questions from our cell suppliers of like, are we just gonna make all the cells ourselves? And then we're like, no, please make as many as you possibly can and supply them to us. We have a significant unmet demand in stationary storage. Megapack is basically sold out through the end of next year, I believe.
Yeah.
Whoa. Megapack is sold out to the end of next year. Jeez. That's one of their products that is sold out until the next of 2022. How many companies do you know that has their product that's sold out to them? I mean, I'm sure there will be some, but at this scale, can you imagine the growth that is still left for Tesla? Crazy.
We have a massive backlog in Powerwall demand. The demand of Powerwall versus production is an insane mismatch. Now, part of that problem is also the semiconductor issue. So we use a lot of the same chips in the Powerwall as we do in the car. So it's like, which one do you want to make, cars or Powerwalls? So we need to make cars, so therefore Powerwall production has been reduced.
Makes sense.
But as that semiconductor shortage is alleviated, then we can massively ramp up Powerwall production. You know, I think we have a chance of hitting an annualized rate of, you know, 1 million units of Powerwall next year, maybe.
1 million units of Powerwall next year? Cool. And plus, they sold out of their their mega pack till next year. Jeez.
We're sort of on the order of 20,000 a week. But again, dependent on cell supply and semiconductors. But in terms of demand, I think there's probably demand for in excess of 1 million Powerwalls per year.
Nice.
And actually just a vast amount of megapacks for utilities. As the world transitions to a sustainable energy production, solar and wind are intermittent, and by their nature really need battery packs in order to provide a steady flow of electricity. And when you look at, you know, all of the utilities in the world, this is a vast amount of batteries that are needed. That's why, you know, long term, we really think, you know, sort of combined Tesla and suppliers need to produce at least 1,000 gigawatt hours a year, and maybe 2,000 gigawatt hours a year.
Okay. Great, thank you. And I have a quick question. I know, Elon, you don't think it's meaningful today, but I'd be curious to know, if you have any stats about when you announced a new pricing on a FSD moving from 10 grand up front to 199 without the lock-in. I'd be curious to understand, how it affected behavior, and if you saw like a massive uptake in the service. And I'm not thinking about people looking at it as an FSD, but more, to try the most advanced version of autopilot and to try it. So in the first days you've announced the pricing, have you seen like a very significant spike in the take rate, and can you give us a sense of how big it was?
Okay, so you're asking, like, is the FSD take rate too expensive, and that's why we're doing subscription? Or I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly.
No, my question is, from the time you announced like the subscription at the $199 per month, how much did like the take rate increase? Like the percentage of people who basically took the subscription as they bought a new car versus how it was when they had to pay 10 grand up front?
Yeah, this is Zach here. I mean, I think we're still early in understanding how FSD subscription will unfold, but a couple of data points here. So we took a look at our backlog to see, of customers in our backlog who have ordered FSD, did they cancel, presumably to go to subscription after they take delivery? And the level of...
That's the thing that's there. Tesla has all the data. And if they use the data to, predict what they price their products, they're able to price it in a way that will benefit them and also be good for the customers. Because remember, Tesla's mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And part of doing that is to try to get as much people that have a car or trying to buy a new car, they're trying to get them to buy their car. Okay? So the easier and the cheaper they can make it accessible for people, the better for the world and for Tesla. That is my take anyways. All this is just my take.
Presumably to go to subscription after they take delivery. And the level of cancellations there was immaterial. So we're not seeing cannibalization there. It's possible that changes, but that was also part of our pricing strategy at $99 and $199.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any given price is going to be wrong, so we'll just adjust it over time as we see, the value proposition makes sense to people. So we're just really, I'm not thinking about this a lot right now. We need to make full self-driving work in order for it to be a compelling value proposition. Otherwise, people are, kind of
people will not buy it. People will not use it.
Right now, does it make sense for somebody to do an FSD subscription? I think it's debatable. But once we have full self-driving widely deployed, then the value proposition will be clear. And at that point, I think basically everyone will use it. Or it could be a rare individual who doesn't.
Okay, thank you very much for your help, and I think that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for all your questions, and we'll speak to you again in 3 months' time. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.
Okay, so having listened to the earnings call, we've learned so much from the earnings call. We've learned that they are ramping up their factory and they're looking to make sure the factory starts production this year. Elon talks about how difficult manufacturing is, that more people need to be in manufacturing. The concentration of talents in the US, he mentioned the concentration of talents in the US is too much in finance and law, that they need to diversify. The US needs to produce more manufacturers, which is probably true. they talk about their batteries. They talk about all the different formulas that they're using for their battery, that they're looking to reduce that into a few formulas so it is easier to manage. This is just a very insightful call. It's very jam-packed with lots of good information, and I hope you've learned something from this video. So yeah, that is pretty much it for today's video. I hope you've learned something. This video is going to be broken down into multiple segments, maybe 4 or 5 different videos, just because it's too long to put into one. So click on the link at the end of this video to continue watching the next part to the video. So that's it. Thank you very much again for watching. Appreciate you. Until next time, see you later. Love you all. Bye. What's up, on? Let me pause this.
Oh, you're recording.
Mm-hmm.